Hey everybody, how are you all? Good Friday evening, in this part of the world. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon where you're joining in from. Very welcome to this another episode of the podcast Tokenization, the new phenom. The idea for this podcast is to primarily educate the investor community, India and outside, on the value of tokenization. So, what we do is we get fantastic projects to talk about how are they actually solving this problem of tokenization, fractional ownership, and several other things. So my name is Alek, and I am the founder of Animo Solution, which is a Web3 focused design and development agency. You can check our website or LinkedIn for more information. My co-host for today is Ashank Mittal. He's the one with me who's kind of conceptualized this whole podcast. So we are hosting it. And let me just introduce him. So he's been building real estate community to connect with leading entrepreneurs among people of Bharat who have developed the core or ancillary support solutions for enabling real estate tokenization. So quite a lot of founders are part of this community. So reach out to Ashank, if you are interested in being part of such a community. So he's also actively building a platform for dharmic elderly housing solutions for people of Bharat. In addition, he is researching in Bennett University on philosophy of real estate economics. Shank is a graduate of IIT Kanpur and IIM Calcutta and has worked in Royal Dutch Shell before he went about his 40,000 kilometer walk or run around exploring 600 ancient dharmic sites throughout the land of Bharat and Sri Lanka. So welcome, Ashank. Let's go ahead.
Hi, Alec. Many
Hello.
thanks as always for taking that long note about this.
Yes. No, you have such a credentials, right? So now let me go ahead and introduce our guest as well today, which is why we are here for. So he's a very special person, who is building a project called Alt DRX. His name is Anand Narayanan, who has worked in diverse functions around the world, both in real estate and banking. He is seen as by most as an astute, persuasive, innovative, and an action-obsessed leader with strong domain expertise in development management, strategy, sales, and marketing, as well as financial engineering. Anand set it up all DRX in May of 2021. It is the world's first digital real estate exchange with an India first strategy where people can buy and sell real estate 1 square feet at a time. So, he's kind of helped a very, very wider base of investors. He has worked with Damac Properties Dubai as its managing director. Damac, as you all know, is the second largest listed real estate developer in the Middle East with about USD 1.5 billion business. And also, before that, Anand was working with Pura Vankara, a real estate player, as its chief operating officer. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome Anand. Hello, Anand. Welcome.
Hey, thank you guys. Hi Ashank and hi Alec. How are you all?
Pleasure. Thank you so much for taking out time. And I know you have very busy schedule, but we can't be thankful enough.
Not too busy for you all.
I must
Thank you.
say, I must add, Alec, that it's a real honor inviting Anand to this platform because I have been watching this space for quite a while, like at least more
Yeah.
than a year. And
Yeah.
while so many players have arrived in our scene, what Anand has pulled off is a very, very credible team out there in the whole ecosystem, which is very legally compliant and coming with very big industry names. So when he arrives on the scene, like everybody from media to world at large of investors listen with a kind of a seriousness, which in general Web3 players don't happen to get. So hence, I'm highly excited about this particular episode.
You're
Fantastic.
you're just overtly kind, Ashank. But yeah, I mean, if I'm worth five percentage of what you just said, I'll be very happy. But yeah, thanks for the kind words.
Nice. Let's keep our fingers crossed. So let's straight away dive into the topic. Let's first try and understand. You mentioned that uh, all DRX is the first of its kind, right? So the question is that what does it really truly mean when you claim to be the world's first digital real estate exchange? Let's start from there.
Sure, sure. Let me ask you guys. Do you know when was the first stock exchange set up? I mean, random guess.
I'm assuming 80s or 90s, or maybe 60s if we go for NYSE or something like that.
About 100 years ago.
No, I think
Oh,
Chicago exchange was there definitely more than a century back. I'm very
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, about 100 years back, a little more than 100 years back. But let me ask you, how long has uh, community-based shareholding structure of a business enterprise, meaning a company owned by many people, how long do you think that has existed?
At
ah,
least 400 years. English East India Company was definitely something like this.
So, I mean, from Roman Empire,
yeah.
even further before, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh, so, a for-profit entity owned by many people, who share the profits, who give capital, But then stock exchange as a concept where those shares can be traded is only 100 years old. The concept of business enterprises owned by shareholders is possibly 5,000 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Look at commodity exchanges. In agri mandis, commodities have been traded for even before 5,000, 10,000 years back. People have been trading, coming to a common place, trading commodities, bringing cattle, bartering them. But commodity exchanges are even more younger. A London Metal Exchange or a Chicago Mercantile Exchange is possibly came much after stock exchanges came in. Real estate, I mean, crypto exchanges are very new, right? But then there is bullion exchanges, there is energy exchanges that have happened. Um, Somehow fortunate for people like us, people have seem to have forgotten that there is a requirement to create public markets for real estate. You know, real estate, global real estate is larger than stocks and bonds put together. You take all listed stocks, all bonds put together, real estate is 1.5 times that. But still,
Absolutely.
still there is no public markets, right? So imagine if you and I had Reliance shares. Let's say we had 100 Reliance shares in our hands. But imagine National Stock Exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange did not exist. I mean, how will you sell them? How will you know what is the price of that share? You know, so it is valuable. I mean, if you're holding 100 Reliance shares, it is definitely valuable. But there is no way to trade it, right? So stock exchanges basically create liquidity, price
Mm.
discovery for any class of assets. So the absence of public markets for any class of assets means that asset class is illiquid, price discovery is opaque, which is what real estate is, right? I mean, nobody clearly knows. Even the apartment next door, you don't know what exactly is the price. It is extremely illiquid to sell. I mean, if you have to sell real estate, it is harder than getting your son and daughter married or something. It is as difficult as it. So the idea is, can we create public markets for real estate where people can come, buy, hold, sell residential real estate? I'm focusing on resi. I understand that class of assets very well. I'm not very bullish on office assets. So I'm going by my conviction and going by what I understand. So I want to create a residential real estate exchange where people can come and buy, hold, and sell real estate 1 square foot at a time. Not just buy, but have the ability to sell it when they want to, have ability to understand what is the dynamic pricing of the 5 square foot that they own today. What is my price of the 5 square foot today, meaning an algorithm determines the price and tells them, so this is the price of the holding. So if Dr. Das from RBI comes and changes the interest rate repo rates for the country, technically speaking, every asset class gets repriced except real estate. Because real estate, you don't know what's happening. But now, if you're holding real estate instruments, if you're holding 5 square foot in alt DRX, your real estate holdings will become marked to market. It will tell you what is the current value of the 5 square foot that you own. If you want to buy and sell, settlement will happen instantaneously. So that's the marketplace that we wanted to create. You call it by whatever name, exchange, and all this stuff. But finally, I'm a marketplace where people can come, buy, hold, sell real estate 1 square foot at a time at real time prices, and at a unit size which is comfortable for each one. So you can buy even 1 square foot. You can buy 10 square foot today, sell 5 square foot tomorrow. You know, that's the possibility of what we wanted to create. The idea is to create public markets. So real estate becomes
And
liquid.
I want to just understand it a little better that concept of REITs, real estate investment trust, has been reasonably old, at least I'm sure more than 50 plus years within US markets. So when people are exchanging them as a unit within these exchanges, which often to be SEC and equally authorized agencies, would that not be considered something equivalent to what you have just proposed?
I think it's a good question. Yes, REITs are existing. REITs are existing in India also for the last 3-4 years.
Mhm.
Not very old in India. They're only 2-3 years old. I mean, just around the COVID time that these things started coming in. Um, REITs are instruments.
Mhm.
The place that it gets traded is an exchange. Like let's say an embassy REIT gets traded in National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange, right?
Mhm.
But tell me, why commodity exchanges are not getting traded in NSE? Why commodity contracts have a commodity exchange? Why is there an MCX and NCDEX? Why did MCX and NCDEX come in when NSE and BSE were already there? Okay. So the idea is, every class of asset is very unique. You need to build ecosystem that is extremely supportive of that. Okay. We all know today REITs are not extremely liquid. They've not performed very well in India. I mean, okay, you can blame the manager and the quality of asset, but it's also because you put 20 things together in one bucket. The guy who's wanting to take equity risk, he is willing to take equity risk, meaning he wants to buy one share and see if it can become 2x in 2 years. That investor you're giving REIT, which gives 10% return. So it's not fair. I mean, you equity is as an asset class is very different. Real estate backed instruments is very different. So my idea is to create a real estate ecosystem where real estate based instruments are bought and sold, where the underlying philosophy is low risk, consistent, moderate return. So real estate investments will not make your money double or triple in 3 years. That's not the idea. Okay.
Mm.
The idea is you will not lose your shirt. In equity, you may lose your shirt if you take a wrong bet. Your equity can wipe your value. Whereas real estate based instruments are, your principal is fairly secure. Your returns are consistent, but they're not exorbitant. You know,
Mm.
so you need to create a marketplace where people understand that if I go to all DRX, I am expecting my money to be safe. I am expecting to invest in ready real estate assets where the risk is not too much. I am expecting to get some 5, 6, 7% rental return and some 4, 5%, 6% capital appreciation. Mota moti 10 to 11% is what I might get on a long-term basis. It is important to create a community of those kind of users in a single marketplace.
Mhm.
Confuse them you can't display financial services in a supermarket. So I want to create a marketplace like an Apple store where you go clearly that this is what I will find. And it's important when you walk into the store, walk into that platform, you understand what kind of products that you expect, so that customer expectations are well aligned. That's what all DRX is about. Um, uh, I believe, as compared to commercial, I'm extremely bearish on commercial real estate. I think
Mhm.
commercial real estate assets uh, uh, are terrible asset class to get into in the next 15, 20 years. The commercial real estate asset class is gone through fundamental shift in its usage methodology. I mean, work from home is going to stay. Flexible working hours are going to stay. These are all metrics that are fundamentally changed commercial real estate. So if I am a fractional real estate player, meaning I have access to small amounts of money, mid-sized quantums of money. So I can't take exposures in grade A high quality tech parks. That is left to KKRs, Blackstones, Brookfields of the world, the blue blood firms. So the mid-size commercial real estate is a terrible asset class to invest in.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible asset class to invest in. It's extremely illiquid. If it goes vacant, it will stay vacant for long periods of time. It's an extremely risky asset class. It needs to be told that it's risky. Then people take an informed decision. That's all right. That it is risky, and then you go in. That's fine. So uh, it is important to build residential real estate in where anybody can buy. If you can buy 10 grams of gold, you can put fixed deposit for 5,000 rupees. You can start an SIP for 500 rupees. Why to buy a residential apartment you need 50 lakhs, 1 crore, 2 crores? You should be able to buy 1 square foot. You should be able to give for your daughter's wedding, instead of 100 grams of gold, you should be able to give 100 square foot of real estate. But that part I want to build out of residential. Fundamental pieces should be safety comes first, reducing risk comes first. That's our fundamental philosophy. So I am creating a marketplace for residential real estate, and that's how I'm going to segregate myself from REIT structures, which are largely commercial real estate based structures. They are great instruments if you go into blue chip large assets. You want to get into commercial real estate, please go to REITs.
Mm-hmm.
Go and buy a grade B asset, 1 floor, half a floor, and then 10 people own that half a floor. I think it's a terrible idea. You're better off owning 100 square foot in a portfolio of 100 apartments, you know, which is what alt is propagating.
Very interesting. I completely understand that in US as well, while 90% of the commercial real estate market is based on REITs, but residential, they have not at all achieved that success. And that's the whole novelty where all DRX is trying to come in place and build the whole fractional ownerships around.
So I have
And
a question
residential
here.
itself has various, sorry, residential itself has various subclasses, right? When we say residential, we all remember, okay, family rentals. Single family rental housing is what we remember, right? That's not the
Mhm.
only class of assets. Single family is or multi-family rental housing is one category of assets. But a residential asset can be used for family rental, can be used for student housing, can be used for co-living, which is executive hostels, can be used for senior care, retirement homes, holiday homes, service apartments, hotel apartments, plots, developed plots. All these are subcategories. They all come under the primary residential. But the utilization of asset could be housing for the young, housing for the old, housing for holiday, housing for executive apartments, and alternate housing for instead of a hotel, you stay in service apartments. All these are residential category. These are the class of assets that people bring in.
Yes, Alec, you're asking.
No, no. So I think that's a fantastic way that you kind of democratizing the way people can invest, right? Because eventually, somebody who doesn't have 50 lakhs, 1 crores, or whatever that big number of money can easily invest. But how does the ownership also sounds like? Say because I'm investing in real estate, one is only as an investment point of view, and not where the livability is kind of a concern. I have some extra cash and I want to invest in it. So who manages, because it's residential property, my essential return is on when it is on rent, right? Where I earn from it or the growth of the asset itself, which happens over a period of time. Nobody targets it to double up in 2 years or 3 years. It's a long term game. So my earning, like my return on investment is based on the rental that I'm getting. So who's taking care of that rental, renting property, furnishing it, maintaining it? So is that also something that your platform takes care of? Or you have partners doing it? You get my question, right, Anand?
Yeah, sure, sure. Alec, I mean, we have to take care of it, right? I mean, we are the platform providers, so we take care of it. So in the residential class of assets, there are broadly three categories. All three categories give capital appreciation. Meaning, real estate generally appreciates over a period of time. If it's long term, don't you can't flip this buying and selling in 3 years. I don't think works. Might you will be better off buying a lottery ticket. But I think if your idea is consistent long-term capital appreciation, That's something that real estate gives. Residential real estate gives you superior capital appreciation opportunities than commercial real estate. That's the first part. Second part of the returns are of two, three types. Let's say if you are bringing in land, residential land, and I'm saying residential land, not raw land, but developed, compounded, gated community plots. There, the only thing that the plot delivers is capital appreciation. So everybody knows land. I think God has stopped making land anymore. There's only limited amount of land. So especially urban land is very precious. So you buy a piece of land as long as in a good location, diversified portfolio of properties you invest in, it appreciates in value. So that's one category that we offer. Second is constructed residential properties. So which means apartments. It can be used for family rental, hostel, retirement home, holiday home. It can be used for various methods, which means it generates income. Okay. Income is again distributed. There you have capital appreciation and you have rental income. It's our job to take care of those assets, both physical upkeep of the assets as well as putting them on rent. All these assets are
Yeah.
held in a SPV, putting them on
Hmm.
rent, collecting the rent, and meeting expenses. Post expenses, whatever is left is distributed to the investors in that particular SPV. That's the second category. The third category that is being brought in is assets which are for use. We are bringing in now two categories of opportunities. One is holiday homes, another one is temple land. We're bringing in something in Shirdi. Very shortly, in the next 2-3 months, we'll bring that in. So now you'll be. I mean, you can own 5 square foot of Janmabhoomi. So it's like that. And when you go to Shirdi, there is a place that you can go and occupy. Meaning here, you buy, let's say, 15 square foot, and you can use that property for 5 nights a year. So in a traditional timeshare, which is the closest that it comes to, you're buying time, but you don't buy the real estate. The real estate appreciation goes to somebody else. You only have usage rights. But here, you own the real estate and you can
Hmm.
also use it. This works very well if it's a holiday destination. So
Yeah.
if the residential is in Goa, Coorg, or in a temple tourism destination, whether it's which are the temple destinations that we all aware of, a religious destination. So in both these places, you buy 15 square foot, use it for 5 nights. There are years when you can't use it, no problem. Surrender that 5 nights. The operator will monetize it to whoever else wants to go. Some monetary value of that nights that you surrendered goes back. So these are the three categories. Not everything has capital appreciation. Some
Yeah.
will have no rental, some will have rental, some will have usage rights. This is how we are mixing up.
Wow, fantastic. I feel like investing right now.
All the
That is nice.
can be tokenized by all DRX.
Yeah, eventually. Nice. Cool. So I think carrying forward with that, because we're talking about property and so there was, this is coming from your website, right? So there was a mention, which said that like all DRX assist large real estate owners, which is 20 crore plus, exit their property partially or fully in a systematic and a time bound approach. So the question which is coming is, why this cap of 20 crores? Because essentially in India you have properties say till 500, even 1,000 crores as well. So why this cap at 20 crores?
The cap, but I mean, by and large, I want to focus on mid-sized assets. I think we all choose our battles, right? So there are large assets. What will I do where all the large dinosaurs walk? If I get trampled, if I go into a space where I suddenly say that I want to help 1,000 crore assets, I can't do much there. I think I can. There is a school right next to the building that I am living in. It's a 60 crore building. If that owner wants to vacate, if he wants to sell the asset, funds won't buy. It's a 60 crore asset in a great location in Bangalore. No funds want to buy that asset. you know and HNIs also won't buy, because it is too large. 60 crores, not too many HNIs can cut that kind of a check. And it's also a complex asset. It's school, it's not office where you just rent it out and nothing much you have to do. If it's a school, if it's a hotel, if it's there is operating capabilities that you need to have. If it's a hostel, you need to have operating capabilities.
Yeah.
So uh, I think that's a space that it's extremely illiquid, And I
Mhm.
think if I can do something there, put my feet in the sand and leave something footprints, that will be good. Is what me and the other team members here in Alt that we all form together. We believe that's where we can add value truly. Eventually, we want to be the largest institutional owners of residential apartments, meaning we want to create a steady, reliable supply of rental housing, whether it's for the
Mhm.
old, whether it's for the family, whether it's for the rich family, whether it's for the upcoming young families, all categories of assets. We want to be the largest owners of residential units, and that way we bring rental supply into that into the market. That is what our idea is. Not
So,
everybody can buy a home and live in it, right? I mean, if we can give 1,000 homes on rent, I think that's
Mhm.
it's a good day's prayer done.
Oh, absolutely. It's like more like a feeling of ownership, at
Yeah.
least. Fantastic.
so Anand, in this kind of a category of real estate, at least within Indian context, uh, from an investor's point of view, there's often a concern that what is on the paper, on the records, vis-a-vis what the value which is actually exchanging hands, there's a big difference. And very often it is all, at least in North India, it is by a factor of 1:2 kind of a thing. I'm especially talking about mid category assets. This is what we keep on hearing from the real estate broker circle. So, how would, from an investor viewpoint, who are assuming that these assets are, say, being purchased at certain rate, vis-a-vis how the actual transactions are happening, those kind of a trust building mechanism come into place?
I mean, there are what you're largely saying is non-taxed money involved in real estate. So there are two transactions where it can be involved, right? One is at purchase, one is at sale of asset. At purchase, and at sale, we get assets valued by an accredited IBBI valuer. Okay, that's the
Hmm.
first one. So everybody gets a transparent understanding of what is the price in that market when you're purchasing and when you're selling. Okay. And we purchase and sell asset only once in 25 years. Meaning if you buy an asset, our idea is we'll buy and hold. The
Hmm.
idea is not buy and flip every 5 years, sell. It's extremely inefficient to buy and sell real estate every 5, 7 years. Here we will buy the asset and hold it for near perpetuity, so 20 years, 25 years. So the point of purchase, evaluation is done. Let's say, for example, a valuer comes and says the value of the property is 1 crore. Okay. Investors are, let's say we eventually have negotiated for 96 lakhs. So that's the price. There is no cash element there because I'm getting 96 lakhs from the investors. I'm giving 96 lakhs to the seller of the real estate. So that is how we eliminate at the purchase stage. Selling states again, the value of the property is going to be 2 crores. The IBBA valuer says 2 crores is the value of the property. Okay. We have to try and see if we can sell it for 2 crore, 1 lakh, 2 crore, 2 lakhs, 2 crore, 3 lakhs. That's the kind of money that we receive, which is then distributed again to owners. So a third party accredited valuation is a reference point that people can use to see whether the property is purchased at the right value and sold at the right value. And what
And
we can't handle, we can't handle. We can't handle cash vision also. I mean, that's not our space. If a buyer comes and says cash de do, I mean, I'll say thank you so much, sir. I can't do it. If a seller says "Please cash at so sorry, sir, I cannot do anything. What can I do? Please UPI kar lo. That's all I can say.
so that's also the whole part where a bit of a uniqueness to all DRX portfolio will come in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, cash is going away. I mean, yeah, I think there's still some part of this thing is there, but it's. I think we've come a long way in the last few decades. I
Hmm.
think its relevance is going to just diminish over a period of time. I don't think it will become as big an it cash is not as big an issue today as it was 50 years back, right? You
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
it'll go away. I mean, significant goes off. And if still somebody insists, I mean, it's not for us. I mean, we cannot pay cash, we cannot accept cash. So what can we do? So that property I will not buy.
Oh yeah, as it is, like there's just so much supply of property in the country, that you will always have people who are able to, or rather, who vibe with you, so to say, in a easier term, that they want to keep everything clean and transparent, no headache transactions, easily done, right?
Yeah,
Cool.
the
So,
proportion of taxpayers is also increasing in the country.
Yeah.
right. So I have this, because it's sort of getting into fractional ownership as well. Where I have you have say 20 people or 1,000 people, depending upon the property size, they are all part owners. So does that mean that you, as a concept, also operates like different other fractional ownership platforms like Edgebait Strata? Why I'm bringing that is just to have that differentiation factor from an understanding point of view. Is it the same, different, and if different, how?
I mean, to some extent, maybe we are all same to that extent that you can fractionally purchase a property. But I think fractional ownership is possibly a little misleading because in none of the cases, neither do the names that you said, nor do we. You in India and most parts of the world, you cannot fragment ownership. You can fragment only the financial value of a real estate. You know, so the financial value of the real estate is fragmented, which is what tokenization does. Asset tokenization basically captures the financial value of the real estate and say the financial value proportionate to 1 square foot is in a contract. You know, if you buy that one contract, it is like buying the financial value of 1 square foot. If the underlying property appreciates in value, the financial value of the appreciated square foot comes to you. If the rent goes up, the cash flow comes to you. But the ownership always remains in a ring fenced entity, which is the SPV that we are talking about. But in long and short of it, I keep telling it to people.
More. This
Uh,
is very interesting concept what you have just described, that ownership is not being fragmented, the financial value is. And I want to just decode it for the purpose of an average layperson who might not be aware of the legal nuances in what you just described.
right, right. I mean, let's say, for example, an apartment 1,000 square foot, let's say 1 crore in value. Um, Now, theoretically speaking, let's say 100 people put 1 lakh each, you know, into an SPV. Okay. Uh, uh, the SPV now has 1 crore. It purchases the property, registers the property, pays stamp duty, registration, registers the property in the SPV's name. So, who's the title owner of the property? The SPV is the title owner of the property.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, the SPV then issues contracts. You know, in our case, we are India's first. Our the instruments that we issue are India's first digital assets, which are stamp duty paid legally enforceable contracts. These are legally enforceable contracts. The SPV issues these contracts. The number of contracts that it issues is 1,000 contracts. Because the real estate apartment is 1,000 square foot, 1,000 contracts the SPV creates. 1,000 contracts are issued to the 100 people who put that thing. So you put in 1 lakh, okay. So which means you get 10 contracts of 10,000 rupees each. Okay, meaning the real estate was 1 crore 1,000 square foot, which means one square foot was 10,000 rupees. You put 1 lakh, so you got 10 square foot or 10 contracts, of 10,000 rupees each. But shortly, that is what it is. But what it means is you've gotten uh, a legally enforceable right on the cash flow of 10 square foot. So
Mhm.
1,000 people have legally enforceable stamp duty paid rights on the cash flow that is emanating from the 1,000 square foot apartment. So when the 1,000 square foot apartment creates rent, all of them have proportionate rights on the rent or the financial value. When it's sold, all the 1,000 people have enforceable right on the sales value that comes from the. Uh, that is all that is to it. It's as simple as that.
So it would be fair to say that the companies also, when we at least the shareholders are owning the company, they're not fractionally owning the company. They are just defragmenting the financial value of the company. If we have to draw
Correct.
a
Correct. I mean, if you own Reliance shares, can you say that you own Jamnagar plant? You don't own
Hmm.
Jamnagar plant. What you own is whatever comes, money that comes out of Jamnagar plant, profit that comes, you own some share of the profit. Same thing, nothing different.
Okay, so there's a lot of need to for us to correct the usage of this word fractional ownership. It sounds we create more troubles than actually solving the concepts as such.
And the difference between us and some of the other names that you might mention, they're all great guys who run those companies. I have high regard for those ones, but they're all building an institutional business. They want
Hmm.
to serve clients who have the ability to write large checks. You know, so more savvy customers. So they are okay with giving them risky products, commercial real estate, under construction real estate, and all this stuff. Whereas I want to serve middle India. You know,
Hmm.
I don't think my clients are the ones who will be willing to cut 25 lakh, 1 crore checks. My customers are those who want to buy 25,000 rupees. Can I save it in real estate? You know, is it possible to purchase real estate worth 25,000? That's the space that I am. Yeah, everything is fractional real estate, but they are servicing institutional clients like a private banking kind of an entity. Wealth management is what they're doing. I am opening Jandan accounts and trying to serve middle India.
Hmm. So all DRX is for the middle class.
It's for everybody. Yeah.
Great.
So cool. So I think from that point of view, let's try and understand that, say, what options are available. So now that you very nicely explained how people can invest, and what they are getting, and how different types of properties are kind of uh, structured within the platform. So now suppose if there's a need for somebody to immediately exit it, for unforeseen reason, people invested, especially in India, the middle India that you're talking about, invest in property or jewelry primarily, sometimes either for a function, or like a major event like a marriage, education, or keep this as a backup for a times in need, right? So in case of a distressed exit, what options are available on the platform to do that?
Sure. Great question again. The beauty of asset tokenization is that we have fragmented your investment to 1 square foot's financial value. Let's say, for example, you put 10 lakhs, which means you've got 100 square foot, each of 10,000 rupees. So you own 100 square foots. Okay. Now, when you want to suddenly sell it, okay, if you had a 100 square foot apartment, so let me not use 100 square foot, let's say 1,000 square foot. You own thousands individual square. If you have one apartment, the only way for you to sell it is the full apartment has to be sold to one person. Correct? That's the only way. Which means you have to find somebody who has the ability to pay 1 crore, likes your specific apartment, your specific project, your specific location, your specific building floor. That kind of buyer you need to find. So here you have 1,000 square foot and you want to sell. Let's say you put your sell order for 1,000 square foot. The beauty is, let's say today, 84 people bought 2 square foot each. 168 square foot got sold. Okay. So your order for the remaining 832 square foot is still live. Tomorrow, some more square foot gets sold. So the beauty of it is you don't have to find a single buyer for that 1,000 square foot. That it's possible for you to decide, okay, I want to sell I want out of my 1 crore, I want only 20 lakhs, you can sell 200 square foot. At 200 square foot today, 50 square foot might get sold, tomorrow 50 square foot might get sold, the day after tomorrow 100 square foot might get sold. This is the beauty of liquidity that tokenization as a process brings in. But I think it's fair to state that the process is evolving. All of us are young players. So I think it's wrong to say that you put your token and immediately it gets sold. I don't think that is the right representation. So we are hence coming up with, because you need a counterparty, right? If somebody needs to buy, so the incoming investor needs to buy. So you're constantly advertising so that new people come in, the new people buy from your people who want to sell. Just like how you want to sell Reliance, somebody comes and buys the Reliance shares from you. Right? So what we are also working is, if suddenly somebody wants to sell and he's not able to sell because sufficient buying interest is not there, we are working on loan against tokens as a product. So you can't sell, no problem. You sold 200 square foot, 100 square foot sold, 100 square foot is not selling, it's getting delayed, no problem. Here is a loan that you take tied over the immediate crisis. These are products that we're working on. We've not launched it yet, but these are products that we're working on to address the problem that you have.
Fantastic. So I think it makes it more safer for people to invest. And for that, we just have a question from one of our viewers. It says that, so it means going ahead, it's safer to invest in residential properties than commercial properties. Right?
Yeah,
What's your
absolutely.
take on it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Don't invest in commercial property. It's a crappy decision to invest in commercial property. If you want to invest in commercial property, go to REITs and invest. Go to InvITs, and I think InvITs are far better asset class than even REITs because they are infrastructure assets. Some beautiful
Mhm.
InvITs are there. They give far better yield than even REITs. Uh, Fractionally, don't go buy half a floor. Five people go and buy. I don't know.
Interesting.
So, Anand, in response to the previous question, I'd like to relate back with the first one. So there are two aspects in general for a shares market. There's an investment bank and there's this exchange. An exchange is considered normally pretty good when there's a lot of liquidity out there, so that buyers and sellers can always find a market. And investment banks in general are valued primarily because of their ability to bring the right kind of an assets which are curated and meeting those high requirements of the primary and the secondary investment. Now, here, all DRX, is it catering more to an investment bank equivalent model, or there's also a propensity to create an exchange wherein many such kind of a players who might be bringing their own portfolio of assets could be bringing their portfolios?
That is the long term vision. So let's assume 30 40 years back when NSE came in. NSE was BSE was there for 100 years. NSE was relatively a younger firm, right? So NSE, some business development executive went with a bag suitcase saying, sir, list in National Stock Exchange, don't list in Bombay Stock Exchange. Right? Somebody went and told that. Right? So we are a young marketplace, so we are bringing in products. But the idea is absolutely right. Tomorrow, when we are well established, there's enough registered users. We are hoping
Mhm.
that other people come and list their assets. My eventual, I'll be extremely happy if tomorrow individual owners, when you and I want to sell an apartment,
Mhm.
how nightmare it is to sell one apartment. To sell one apartment at max, we'll go and put it in some property uh, classified portals. That also we will not take paid listing. We'll take only free listing. Let's see what free listing happens. We'll not take. We'll call some two friendly real estate agents and say, boss, please madad karo, help karo, property बेचने के लिए. That's what we do. And it takes 6, 9, 10 months, 1 year to sell these assets. I'll be extremely happy if, let's say, Alec wants to sell his 2,000 square foot, 2 crore apartment. He comes into Alt, surrenders title into an SPV. SPV issues him 2,000 tokens, 2,000 digital square foots. He goes and sells today, I'll sell 20 square foot. Tomorrow, I'll sell 300 square foot. Day after tomorrow, I'll sell 1 square foot if it's required at a price of his choice. Uh, that's that's the space that I want to solve. I want to solve the problem of an individual's asset liquidity. I have one apartment. I am not able to sell my apartment. I struggle to sell my apartment. The great idea is to go to all DRX and sell it. So REITs and InvITs solve that problem for very large asset owners, right? You go and solve it for uh, uh, great brands like DLF, Embassy, who have large assets. You take it to REIT and solve it. Who's going to solve my problem and your problem when we have to sell our apartments? So if I can solve that, I'll be happy.
Yeah, and that's a very big problem, like that you're solving in that regard. Because I know for a fact that, so I live in an apartment. Right? So when somebody was selling an apartment, the same apartment was being sold at or being talked about at different pricing based on the real estate agents, like the property dealers and all those things, people being involved, right? So what this technology is bringing right now is clarity and transparency and ease of use, right? I mean, basically, you're taking away the headache because it's a headache, dealing with people, and then trying to, you are in distress, especially in distress situations. People usually, what people do is people usually offer a premium discount of 10%, 15%, 20% at any property, because they just want the money, right? And yeah, so I think that's a very, very big problem that you're solving in that
Yeah,
way.
like imagine when you and I go and buy real estate. Let's say we're buying an apartment. We always negotiate and ask for discounts. So there's haggle between us as a buyer and the seller could be a real estate developer or who or another, somebody else owns a property. Okay, so we haggle. When we want to sell the property, the other fellow haggles with us. You
Yeah,
know,
discount. Yeah.
no problem. But imagine we launched only on August 15th. 45 a few days back, we launched our service. 300 people, I mean 5,000 people registered. A
Mhm.
thousand people have funded their wallets. About 300 people went ahead and purchased real estate one at a time, 1 square foot at a time. Anywhere between 1 square foot to 150 square foot, people have bought. The lowest was 1 square foot, the highest one person bought was 150 square foot. Not one person negotiated when they purchased the real estate.
Hmm.
Not one person called and said, "Why can I get five rupee discount? Can I get 10 rupee discount?" No. And in a 5 to 8 minute process, without signing tons and tons of papers, it's a completely digital process. No wet signatures. People have bought. You know, but the assurance is that during that process, whether you buy or I buy or he buys, everybody gets the same price. See, customers don't want discounts. They want to know whether the price at which I buy, is it a fair market value? Is everybody else buying at the same price or not? That is what customers want. But the moment you can deliver that,
Yeah.
people will not negotiate. In real estate, nobody knows. You go and deal with one builder today and buy an apartment. Tomorrow I go, I don't know what price at which you bought. I don't know whether he gave you a good deal or I'm getting a raw deal or I'm getting a bad deal. Because of which I negotiate.
Yeah.
Right? So the moment it becomes a digital process and the price is displayed transparently,
Yeah.
due diligence documents are displayed transparently, everybody gets access to the same information, everybody gets the same price. Nobody wants to discuss, okay, what he bought and what I bought is the same price. But I bought 1 square foot, I also got the same price. Ashank bought 20 square foot, he also got the same price. No problem.
Interesting. Yes, I think that solves a very, very big challenge. And like for just a side moment, for a funny point of view, that it sounded more, also like when employees negotiate with the HR, and then they also negotiate on the point that it's higher or lower, right? Considering that what is being paid to the other position people in the same position. Just a thought that came in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Yeah.
Anything which is private negotiation, you always negotiate. I mean, nobody when you and I don't negotiate when you buy a phone on Flipkart or Amazon, right? Do we negotiate?
Yeah.
We don't. We just see what are the price. Okay, we know that everybody gets the same price today, boss. Let's go and buy.
So higher
Nice.
transparency definitely kind of reduces those layers of negotiation. And here we are having a huge transparency, as we can see the market is being built up by buyers and sellers. Now, Anand, let me come to the core theme of this particular podcast, community capital. And I'm quite intrigued by some of the asset classes which you just talked, including like say temples based these rest houses or say the student housing. Now, we have talked so far about a very financial aspect where the relationship of an token investor is more purely as an investor, like there's a financial element to it. Let me think of from a different viewpoint. Say there's a talk of a community based ownership, not individual ownerships, but a community based ownership of some of these projects, for which definitely there's some room. Like for example, there could be a community of Shirdi Sai Baba's fans who want to create their own kind of premium properties within Shirdi or say across religious towns in India. They might like to fund it all together and have a rental incomes as well out of it. So definitely some financial aspects out of it, but more importantly they are interested in how it is being maintained, how it is being owned, how it is being controlled, governed, etc. To what degree the solutions which you have been building could facilitate that?
Yeah, I mean, uh, it would fit perfectly well, right? I mean, if like you rightly said, see, real estate is a very emotional purchase. It's always been an emotional purchase, right? The reason why I'm saying buy 1 square foot, you know, is because you should feel like as if you're owning real estate. So it's customer connect should be there. I mean, we can say a 1,000 square foot apartment can be split into 10,000 pieces also. What is stopping us, right? But then you own one piece of what then, you know? So I think real estate has always been emotive. I mean, I in my previous avatar, I used to keep telling people, people will not remember what is the size of the tile that you put, what is the brand of the bathroom furniture, the fixtures that you give. Nobody remembers all stuff. But the story that you say, the the the, the way you can make the customer imagine how his living would be eventually 3 years, because they're all buying a hole in the ground. No, when we're digging the hole, only we sell apartments in India, or more across the world. So people should be able to see what it is going to be like. So it's always a very emotive purchase. Yes, you have a lot of money is involved, all the stuff that is correct, but it's finally an emotive purchase. So, like you said, if I can bring a holiday home in suburbs of Bombay, it's most likely people who relate to that location, will buy.
Hmm.
If I'm bringing in a property in Goa, I mean, people from North India love Goa, not so much from Chennai, you know, but people from North love Goa. So it's that affinity is there. So if I bring in a asset in Shirdi, it's most likely that people who are devotees or people who are from that location, they have some emotive connection, will buy. They would have hesitated to buy one apartment because "Arey, who will maintain it, who will go there, what will happen, but if you the moment you say okay, now it can be held online, a professional manager is managing the physical asset for you, I think it becomes that much more easier. But the emotive purchase is rightfully so, like I said, whether it is city connection or some other connection, will always be there. Sometimes when you sell retirement homes, like just how you have passion to create retirement homes. I'm also very passionate that retirement homes should be available on rent.
Yep.
Why should uh, why should our elderly people buy real estate to live? Why do they
Exactly.
need to buy? They should not
Hmm.
buy. You and I should buy and give it to them on rent. Let them pay us rent because I'm giving them. Let them pay me a rent. Okay, but why should they put 1 crore, 2 crore live? But for that, if I bring in a retirement home facility where people can invest in, now I tell that I'm going to give this asset to the elderly. Okay. Then there is
Hmm.
a little bit of financial element. Yes, okay, what is the rent I will get, boss? But finally, okay, boss, it's going to be well taken care of. It's going to be put on some productive use. Somebody who really deserves. I think that is always a great part in real estate. When you buy bond, share, crypto, all the stuff is not there. How
Hmm.
much return? 15%, 20% is the only thing. But in real estate, it's not like that. If you're going to give it for a student housing, you'll have that connect. You'll remember that crappy hostel that we all stayed in. And say, okay, chalo, now somebody else is going to live a good life. Okay, I'm also going to get rent in it. Real estate will also appreciate in value. It's safe. But that emotive purchase is always a great element.
Since you, anyways, talk about the timeshare element, so at least speaking of the retirement home, since I'm looking into that category a little more in depth, that fits in a lot. Like there's a say there's a retirement home proposition which is going to be purely on renters, give money, etc., and also have some elements of timeshare swappable for pure financial things in case people are not interested. Now there could be an elderly community which may like such kind of places, say in Shirdi, say in Ayodhya, Kashi, Mathura, whatever are the locations of their choices, and they might be liking a bit of a timeshare elements and privileges which are coming along with it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And see, there's one part of the population who wants to go to Shirdi, Mathura, Varanasi, and live their last few years. But a large population wants to stay in cities. My father and my mother want to stay in the same place that they've grown in for the last 40 years, go to the same temple which is 500 meters. They don't want to go anywhere. If I tell them, Ma, go live in this Coimbatore, great place, they'll take care of you. No, I don't want. I want to stay there. But okay, now they are mobile. They can take care of themselves. At some point of time, they'll need assistance. So it urban rental housing or for elderly is the need of the hour. Okay, and that and community capital needs to build those assets. We all need to pull in capital, build, uh, collectively own a city center or in the city retirement home which people can rent. You know, why should
Hmm.
retirement homes be in the far flungs? Why should it be in Dwarka for a person who's all the time grown in Delhi? But yeah, community capital plays an important role there.
Interesting thoughts.
Yeah. So I think we are already top of the hour. I just have two quick questions to ask, which I think kind of will complete. One is that from your point of view, right? So what sort of governance does the owners have in in the properties that they invest in? That's one, and then we'll have one quick one later.
That's a great question. I think while the entire business is digital, while you're holding everything in digital form, there are a lot of real world governances. I mean, every user comes onto the platform only after a KYC is done. So PAN, Aadhaar, India rupee bank account, India mobile number are essential for you to transact on my thing. You can't transfer an Indian asset to a foreigner. So we are keeping it completely ring fenced, closed door. When you add money into your account in alt for you to buy, that money is held in an escrow account. There's an escrow agent that is there. When the property is bought by the SPV, the physical title documents are held by a custodian, a third party custodian of repute. It's not held by us, it's held by a third party custodian of repute. You know, all the ledger balances of users. So you have, let's say, 10,000 rupees that you've added into the alt wallet for you to buy some square foot. But in the past, you bought, let's say, five DLF square foot, and that is also there in your thing. You know, is it really there? Is it not there? I mean, how do I know if it's actually there? So we write our ledgers on blockchain. So whatever you see on my platform, okay, is also written on the public ledger. So what you see in the public ledger and what you see on my platform, if it matches, okay, chalo boss, everything is seems to be safe. So these are all the real world governances that we use. Every SPV has an accountant. P&L, balance sheet, compliances have to be filed. Every SPV has two directors. One director is us, or one in our case is an LLP. So one designated partner is us. The other designated partner is a nominee of a third party, either an accountant of the SPV or the banker of the SPV or the escrow agent of the SPV. So they act as the. So a lot of real world governances have been involved, have been put into the process.
Interesting. So that makes it, especially with blockchain, transparency and what the technology in itself offers, should give a lot of people, especially the not so tech savvy. So I'm obviously, getting more questions right now, Anand. But so, what are your target audience? Like, because see, all this jargon that we're talking, blockchain technology, fractionalization, tokenization, all this is kind of understood primarily by people who are working in tech, so to say, right? And now real estate builders are kind of understanding this as we go along. There's a lot of education which you must be doing. Ashang is doing a lot of work there. We are trying to build in, put in that. But how does it diversify to a wider audience? I understand, it's very native to talk about it right now because you just recently launched. But how do you see that going to the people who only understand the language of real estate and not all this technology?
I mean, I think what we've done in the last 1 hour is to open the hood of the car and seen what the engine is, what the wire is, and all the stuff, right? But I think not when we buy cars, we are not all the time opening the hood and checking everything. We see whether the car is looking nice. It does it look nice? Is it from a good brand? Is it reliable? So I think it's very important to simplify our offering to our audience. Unnecessary complication is not necessary. If they seek information, information should be available,
Yeah.
in a clear and legible manner. So, what I keep telling my customers is very simple, sir. All DRX gives you the ability to buy and sell real estate 1 square foot at a time. That's
Hmm.
my simple proposition. You want to buy 1 square foot? Please buy 1 square foot. You want to buy 10 square foot? Buy 10 square foot. You want to sell 3 square foot tomorrow? You can sell 3 square foot. That's the thing. How, what, all the information is available. If you ask more
Available.
questions, keep it simple. The fundamental thing is I don't want the assets that come in to be risky assets. That is one thing that I am the gatekeeper for that. I will not allow risky assets to come in. I will not do under construction assets. You know, I will not do mid-sized office assets. Industrial warehousing assets are great. I mean, school assets are great. I love those asset classes. When I'm saying commercial real estate, let's not paint everything with the same brush. Uh, I think office assets, mid-size office assets, uh, if your net worth is 3 4 million dollars, 25 crores or above, if your net worth is 25 crores or above, you should look at commercial assets. If your net worth is less than 25 crores, I think you should build. There are far greater, safer assets which give reasonably good returns, and that is resi. Your father, my father, my grandfather have all, our real estate stories have always been, I bought land, I sold it, it went 10 times more. I bought an apartment, sold it. As any of our father and grandfather, so I bought office asset and it became 5 times more. We've not heard any of our, let's learn from our history, let's learn from our past. You know, none of our fathers and grandfathers have become rich by buying and selling office assets. They bought apartments, they bought land, they bought homes, and that grew in value.
Fantastic. Cool. Last question. Ashank, you want to do this or I should? Because I know we have tons of questions between us, but
Yeah,
maybe Ashank, you
so
want
I think you continue. I'll
to.
hold
Yeah.
the last comment.
Cool. So the last question, Anand, I am sure I will not go beyond this. First, so the thing is that in terms of property, like the succession, especially in HUFs, sometimes it becomes a challenge, right? So from your point of view, building in this industry, do you think that real estate tokenization or asset tokenization in that regard can help that challenge? Is that bring down that mental pain and agony?
Yes, yes, it's a great use case for tokenization. See, when dematerialization of shares happened, right? So we all held shares physically, and then when demat happened, we
Yeah,
dematted the shares. We did
yeah,
not demat it because we wanted to sell it the next day, but we
yeah,
anyway dematted it and kept it. So
yeah.
your 100 physical certificates became 1,000 individual shares. Now,
Hmm.
tomorrow you wanted to give 100 to your daughter, 20 to your daughter-in-law, 30 to your this thing, it was possible. I think real estate is very similar. So if you have one apartment,
Yeah.
you took and you have two children, the only option today for you is to sell and give 50 lakhs to him and 50 lakhs to her. But in the process, you lose a lot because selling real estate got transaction costs, taxation structures are will go against you. The best is to hold real estate. But if you tokenize, you give 500 digital square foot to your son and give a little extra to your daughter because she deserves a little more. Give her a little more. It's possible for you to do that in that way.
Fantastic. I think that wraps up my questions, at least for today. I'll reach out to Anand separately to have more. But yeah, Ashank, over to you now.
Yeah, so Anand, to be honest, Dil Mange More is the feeling which I'm having talking to you because there's so much to learn and so much potential I can foresee with every single insight you have been sharing, including the last one. But since time is short, so we have to call it an end. But maybe a last thought, you may call it as a question equivalent. What does it take for a real estate developer or any promoter of any property to come knock doors of all DRX to say, ki, hey, I'm all game. Please tell me what's the way for me to tokenize these properties and put it on the world's first digital real estate exchange.
I think I need to do a little more to command the real estate developers interest. So which means I need to build more traction. I need to do a few more assets. I need to get few more customers on the platform. I think once real estate developers see, okay, listen, there's something that is happening here, and they've achieved some progress. I think up to that, it's our responsibility. I think I'm not so much the developer's responsibility. Once they see that, and once they see, okay, this is a new method where they can reach far greater number of audience, then I think they'll all come. They'll all lap it up. Matter of time.
Well, I'll definitely note that they have two responsibilities. They need to have 20 crores of net value minimum, and they need to be ready for the clean money. And that's not very easy.
No. But all
Great.
right, I think so. With that, I can say, like we are coming to the end. Thank you so much, Anand, for coming in. We had a fantastic time, right? And yeah, last thoughts from you, and then Ashank, and then we wrap it up. We're done.
I think I've spoken enough. I don't want to speak anymore. But thank you, guys. Lovely speaking to you guys, and nice of you to invite me over. I think Shank, you're doing a great job in building this community of people.
Yeah,
Keep doing it. Keep the flag flying high. And like we should catch up sometime. If you guys are coming into Bangalore, I've met Shank in person before. But if you come into Bangalore, do give me a call.
for sure, for sure. Thank you so much. All right,
Many
viewers. Thank.
thanks,
Yeah, sorry, Ashank. Go ahead.
yeah, many thanks, Anand, for coming over to our show. It first of all gives us a lot of credibility that how credible people we are bringing onto us platform. And all the best. I'm very optimistic about alt DRX. I have been studying these markets for a while, and I know the truth I'm speaking, and I'm very sure that it will do very well. So looking forward to a great case study in making.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your support.
All the best. All the best. Great. With that, we come to the wrap up of this. Thank you so much, viewers, for joining in. And you can check out this video again, this discussion on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And yeah, good evening and good weekend. Bye bye.
Bye bye, and happy Navratri.
Yeah, happy Navratri.